Hello everyone, my name is Jenna, but you guys can call me Jen. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Hi, hello. Welcome to a May and June wrap up because I am behind on my wrap ups. And we're gonna do it pretty quickly this go around because one, I have 2 months of books to talk about. Two, it is 33 degrees Celsius here. I'm sweating. It is hot. It is hot. It also drives me nuts that I can't seem to straighten or center my camera today, so why is it uneven? Okay, there, that's fine. For the past 2 months, I have been reading a fair number of books. For May, I read 9, and June, I also read 9 books. So I'm a little behind, a little below, if you will, what I usually read. I like to read about 10 to 12 books a month, but this year, my reading year has just been going a little slower than usual, which is totally fine. Let's talk about May. I read 5 fantasy, 2 literary fiction, 1 dystopian, and 1 mystery. And we're just gonna get into it. So the first book that I read was Everyone on This Train is a Suspect by Benjamin Stevenson. This is the sequel to Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone. I love Benjamin Stevens books. They're so much fun. I ended up giving this one the same rating as the first one, even though I think I like the first one just a little bit more because there's something so wonderful about the charm of the first one. I just, 4.5 stars. I love the vibe of these books. They're so much fun. I love how voicey the narrator is. And they're genuinely funny to me and just so much fun. They're so much fun. Highly recommend these. This one follows the same character from the first one, obviously, same narrator. In this one, he's written a book that's like kicked off, which is called Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone. Oh, we love metafiction. And now he's on a book tour on a train and people start dying on said train. We love that trope. The next one that I read was A Fable for the End of the World, which is my least favorite book of the year so far. This was garbage, okay? This falls into the terrible dystopians that are coming out recently that are using dystopian just as a like vibe word, like the vibe of dark academia kind of a thing. It doesn't actually engage in any criticisms or proper constructive anything that dystopian is supposed to do. It is not a direct, like it doesn't discuss anything. It doesn't do anything like dystopian literature is supposed to. Dystopian literature is supposed to take something out of the today or history or you know, a problem and hold up a mirror to it and examine it and, you know, do like really have commentary on it, and this does not. It was a terribly written book. I gave it 1.5 stars simply because it is readable as fuck. Like it genuinely has a good drive to it. I won't trash Ava Ree's writing. Her prose is great, but their storytelling in this is awful. Awful. The romance, so thin. So many elements of this story could have been changed with something else and had no direct effect on the actual story. No, don't read this. I do not recommend. Then I picked up a book club book for this month, which was Corine by Jade Song. This one is not for me. I gave it 2.5 stars, but it generated interesting discussion with my friends, which is what you want from a book club, of course. This is definitely an interesting queer mermaid coming of age, potentially mental health conversation type of novel. It is intense. It also does examine kind of like, not really overtly like examines gender, but you could read it in a transformation trans type of book as well. Like there's different ways you can read this one, which is why our discussion was so good. But yeah, this kind of literature is not for me. It leaves a weird taste in my mouth and it just, I don't know. I've read a number of books like this and they were all for this book club. And this kind of lit is not for me, which is totally fine. For people who enjoy lit fic and weird books, this is for them. So if that's the kind of reader you are, pick this up because you will like it. Then I picked up The Ashfire King by Chelsea Abdullah. I say that, then I picked up. No, I did not read these in order. I was usually, like, this is the order that I finished them in. This is not the order that I picked them up to read them in. Because I read this, and it took me like a fucking month to get through. I was buddy reading this with Julie, and my apologies, Julie, that it took me so long to fucking finish this because like the world, it just like nothing wanted me to pick this up. This is the sequel to The Stardust Thief, which I originally gave 5 stars when I read that one, but when I reread it, it's more of a 4.5 star. And this one ended up being a 4 star. They're good. They're solidly written, but if I don't sit down and read them all in one go, which is a little crazy saying that this is like a over 500-page fantasy novel, I just don't ever feel a pull to pick them up again. There's that. Like, I enjoyed the sequel. I like where it went as a sequel, and I also enjoyed the writing of it, the storytelling of it, but I enjoyed the first one more, and I'm interested in the third one, but like, there isn't like a drive for me or like an urge for me to have that third one in my hands, because we're probably not going to have it for another like 3 years, because it took 3 years to get this one. So I'm not in any rush. I'm not in any rush. This was a solid fantasy book, and I do recommend this series, even though I say that after saying that we probably won't get the third one for like 3 years. You may want to wait to read it until we have news about the third one coming out. So just a heads up, because we were waiting for that one for a really long time. After that, I completed The Honey Witch by Sydney J. Shields, which also gets 4 stars. This one was genuinely so enjoyable, and I really, really liked it. For the most part of reading this, I considered this a 5-star. This is a 5-star in enjoyment for me, but the book and the execution of this book is a 4-star, because there are some things that myself as an author would change and would remove and would kind of edit down, because that is not what the final product is. It's a 4-star book for me. Like, there are some things, like the opening scene, too long, too beefy, included too many things that did not need to be included, even though it was a very snappy opening scene. It could have been snappier. It could have been snappier. And also, the character Lottie in here, the love interest, is so mean. And there are some instances where she goes genuinely too far. That, to me, at least, is someone who is very aware of when people are, you know, feeling emotions. You can curb your attitude towards them. Anyways, I don't know what I'm saying. This is sapphic. This is lovely. Little cozy fantasy. I highly recommend this. This was really well written. This is about Marigold, who basically inherits her grandmother's magic and her grandmother's honey cottage, essentially, and she is brought in to learn all this magic and how to keep it, you know, healthy, even though there is something kind of attacking the outskirts. And then she meets Lottie, who is her friend's friend, and Lottie is very mean and very like off-puttish. That's not the word for it, but like, she's very prickly. She's a notoriously grumpy skeptic of magic. She does not believe in magic. Comes to Marigold's like cottage, and they spend some time together and all this kind of stuff and fall in love and all. Yeah, you know, the standard. Anyways, this was great. I really enjoyed this. But yeah, 4 stars. Then I read my favorite of the month, and the only 5-star that I have in both of these months put together. Green Teeth by Molly O'Neill. I adored this. If you are looking for a book that is the perfect encapsulation of a Gen book, this is it. This is not going to be for everybody. I just genuinely love this. This is weird, a little creepy, but also super cozy and a little bit like dry humor. It's Arthurian. It is just, it has a quest in it. It has some kind of fun, kooky creatures. I loved this so fucking much. Top to bottom, absolutely loved. The twists near the end, like some of the things that were happening near the end genuinely had me so shocked, because I was not expecting that many things happening, but it wasn't like too many things. And I also did not know the direction we were going in, to be honest. Like, it surprised me in the best way possible. So this follows Jenny Greenteeth, who is this kind of lake-dwelling fae creature who rescues a witch from the bottom of the lake after these witch hunters basically try to drown her. And in doing this, Jenny learns about some stuff that's happening in the local town and some darkness that is seeping in. To help her new friend, this witch, she decides, you know what, we're gonna enlist the help of one of my fellow fey creatures, and we're gonna go on a little quest to try and, you know, get some stuff to take down this evil. We're gonna fix things. It's gonna be great. I loved this. If you like Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher, definitely pick this one up, because it's kind of the same. Like, it's cozy with teeth kind of vibes, has that found family questing vibes, also has the like, you need to do a bunch of different things to like fulfill a task to then, you know, get something from someone. It's got that vibe. I really enjoyed this. And as someone who absolutely loves Arthurian legend and Arthurian retellings and all that kind of stuff, this right up my alley. This is a new all-time favorite book. All-time, like, if you're looking for a Gen book, this is it. This is it. If you're not, like, if you don't look at my books, like A Second Story, A Little Luck, and A Favored Fey, this is it. Like, this is what I love. This is me in a book. I fucking loved it. I fucking loved it. I fucking loved it. There were 2 different arcs that I picked up this month. The first one was The Memory of the Ogishi by Moses Oseutomi, which is the 3rd and final book in his Forever Desert trilogy of novellas, which are a very interesting storytelling exercise, in my opinion, of like how storytelling changes, how history works, how myth works, how legends kind of work in a society within a very, very, very long time span. So each of these books follows different people like 500 years apart each time. And this one, in my opinion, was probably the weakest of the 3, but I really enjoyed the wrap-up of this trilogy. And I think my favorite one of this trilogy is the first one, which is The Lies of the Ajungo. But I really enjoy this entire thought process as a whole with all 3 books. So I really recommend this. And that's really all I'm going to tell you about these, because going in blind is your best bet. They're all very, very short. The first one is like barely over 100 pages. All super short, bite-sized. You can finish them in a couple hours. I highly recommend these. I gave this one 3 stars. I did not say that. And then the next arc I also gave 3 stars to was Detilus is Dead by Seamus Sullivan. So this is a little novella that is a retelling, a retelling for sure, of the Detilus myth. It's taking the character of Detilus and examining him as a father, as a man, during the time right after his son passes away to the moment of his death and then into the afterlife. It's a very weirdly put together little novella. It's not linear, it's odd. The storytelling devices are weird. It didn't really work for me, but if you love Piranesi, which I love, I think you will love this too. Like, even though I didn't like Detilus is Dead too much, I like what he was doing and examining with the Detilus character. And I think the open-ended nature of it is going to appeal to readers of Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. And then finally, I closed out May with Interesting Facts About Space by Emily Austen. This one was interesting. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. It hasn't really stuck with me though. I kind of forgot that I read it. Upon remembering that I did read it, it was good and it was very solid of a read. And definitely she saw a little bit too much into my brain type of read. It's an interesting one. So we're following our main character, who I don't remember the name of. I don't remember a lot of the specifics of this one. Like, it's not one that sticks with you, but like the vibe of it sticks with you, you know? It's contemporary. It follows a really interesting literary path of like, I haven't read many lit fics that like end in a hopeful way. And this does. This ends in a pretty hopeful way. Deals with our main character who believes that she's being stalked by her neighbor. She also has a fear of bald men. And she's working through shit in therapy. And she also is going through some like love and relationship stuff. By the end of this, I was like, oh, we have a main character who's actually like on the up and up. We love that. We love that about this. So 4 stars. I did enjoy this. Anyways, all right, let's go into June, my friends. First up in June, I finished An Echo of Things to Come by James Islington, which is the sequel to The Shadow of What Was Lost, and it is a big, chunky epic fantasy. I read this alongside Lindsay, and I had fun with this. I gave it 4 stars. It's not as good as the first one, didn't have the pull of the first one, but I think it's a really solid sequel in laying out groundwork for the third one. I'm really interested to see like what the third one really goes into from here on out with this. So yeah, sequel, epic fantasy, deals with time, deals with really like interesting narratives and villainy and that kind of thing. It's really, I really like this series so far, and I'm just becoming more and more interested in James Islington's work. Then I read an e-arc called Automatic Noodle by Annalee Newitz, which I gave 2.5 stars to. It unfortunately fell apart for me by the end. I liked what the author was trying to do, because this is like a murder bot meets the Kamagawa Food Detectives vibe. It's a bunch of robots who wake up in their restaurant that has been closed for 6 months, and they've been shut down for 6 months. They don't know why, but they decide to reopen the restaurant and make it something that they want to actually work at and like give out and like, you know, make food that they like. So it is kind of that little journey in there. And then the conflict in here deals with review bombers who are also anti-robot. So it's that conflict, like, it just doesn't, like, it makes sense. But the way that the book ends makes it feel like there was supposed to be multiple chapters more to actually wrap anything up. It felt unfinished. It fell apart for me. It was missing something. But anyway, so yeah, I gave that one 2.5 stars. Then I read Trial of the Sun Queen by Nisha J. Tooley. This was an interesting, pretty solid romantasy. As someone who doesn't love romantasy a lot, this is solid. 3.5 stars, solid read. I'm gonna read this whole series to like see if any of them like get better, if I enjoy the series as a whole, that kind of a whole thing. But it's not anything that's gonna blow you out of the water. It's not doing anything new. It's kind of giving, I think she pitches it as like The Bachelor meets The Hunger Games or something like that. Like it's very selection-y vibes, even though I never read The Selection as a kid. But it has that, like, it's a trial for a king to find his wife. And it has an interesting main character who is, what's her name? Lore, who is a prisoner, and she gets, like, kidnapped from this prison to be part of the trials of the Sun Queen. So it's an interesting concept, I guess. It was fine. It was very readable, very enjoyable. But I got like halfway through it and then put it down for a week to go to like my friend's wedding and all this kind of stuff. And when I came back to it, I had a moment where I was like, I don't remember anything of what I've read of this. So it again is not something that like sticks with you, doesn't impact you in any way. It's just a fun read. So there's that. And then read my favorite of the month, a 4.5 star, Two Lives of Fave and Scythe by Megan E. O'Keefe. This was so fun, and it is a sci-fi standalone that I really hope one day becomes a companion series, because it just, the ending sets up so perfectly for a companion series. I think Megan could really do something fun with this for what it is. I really enjoyed it. 4.5 stars. From like word go, first couple of pages, I was like, oh, this is gonna be a new fave, because it just has that delicious prose. Ooh, it was so good right off the top. I was like, I'm so into this. I love it so much. So this follows Fave and Scythe, who is not necessarily like a humanoid type of alien called a Christ. And her kind are dying out, sort of. They're also going missing. Like there's not as many being created, and there's also some going missing. And she's trying to figure out where these people are going, because someone that she loves very dearly has gone missing. And so she is trying to find out information about this at any cost. She gets an opportunity right at the beginning that she knows is a trap, and it's this pirate con man guy trying to trap her into like kidnapping her or whatever. She knows this and she's like, I don't really care. I kind of want information, and I feel like this guy's gonna have the information that I want. And so she goes anyway. And there's also this pirate, amazing queen lady, we love her so much, Bitter Amandine, who is watching over this in some kind of a way. She's witnessing this happening, and she's like, excuse me, what the fuck is this Fave and Scythe person what is she doing? So she steps in, tries to fix things. Faven and her end up getting tied together in this very cosmic type of adventure, figuring things out, that kind of a thing. If you enjoyed The Stardust Grail by Yume Katase, you will love this. I really ate this up. So it's space pirates. It is sapphic, and I loved this. I loved the ride. I loved reading it. It was so good. The writing is incredible. I didn't quite like this as much as The Blighted Stars, which is the first book of her Devoured Worlds trilogy. That one is still my favorite Megan E. O'Keefe. I just love the banter in that one. I love the relationship in that one. And I think this one could have been a little stronger with a little bit more build on that relationship. Still, 4.5 stars. Absolutely loved this. Then I picked up one of the biggest disappointments of the year, and that is A Song of Legends Lost by M.H. Allende. This I was anticipating to be a new favorite fantasy book, and I was so mid about this story the entire way through. I gave this 2.5 stars. I did not care about these characters any more than when I first met them, than at the end. Like, there was no change for me in how I was feeling about the characters all the way through. It felt so epic that it just didn't allow me to connect with the characters in any way. And the most interesting character to me was in this book, in the first part and the 5th part of the book, as a plot device. And that drives me nuts. I'm a little mad about that. So I'm not super in love with the way this book was put together, but I see what M.H. Allende was doing, sort of. I feel like it would be more clear to me once we have the entire trilogy and the whole story. but it does not feel like something that would work on its own, because there's too much big things happening, too much big churning story happening. I come out of this and I still don't know what the evil force is. I don't know what's actually happening in the world. I don't even know like what we're supposed to be really worrying about after following multiple characters in here and them undergoing multiple different problems and different issues happening. This was not for me, but people on the internet who love this also are comparing it to The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winters, which is another fantasy book that I also did not love because it was too militaristic for me. And again, it did not connect to the characters at all. And I was promised dragons in that one, and we got like a speck of dragons. I was very mad. There was like no dragons in there. So if you like The Rage of Dragons, you are going to love this and the way that this one is written. But for me, this is not my kind of fantasy, which is so unfortunate because it's pitched as something that I would absolutely love. You know, epic, political, lots of moving parts, that kind of thing, interesting magic, but it just did not work. Then I picked up Every Time I Go on Vacation Someone Dies by Catherine Mack. And this one was fine. I gave this one a solid like 3-star. It was so middle of the road and it made me crave a Benjamin Stevenson. It has the same trope of literary people on a trip and it just fell flat in some ways, but was also kind of fun in some ways. Like it's a very brain empty read. You don't need a lot of brain power for this one. All I really remember about it, it's another one that just doesn't stick with you. All I really remember is about a main character who is an author and she's written 9 books and she's planning her 10th and she's on a trip to the place where she got the original inspiration for the first book from, with a man who has been blackmailing her since that beginning book came out because she used his name, because she based the first book on a real thing that happened to them. She fictionalized it a little bit. She didn't fucking change his name. And so he's been blackmailing her since the beginning to get a portion of her advance every time she writes a book in this series. They're on this trip and he believes that someone's trying to kill him. And it just goes kind of off the rails from there. I will say this title has nothing to do with anything that happens in this book. It's a terrible title. Absolutely terribly titled. It like nothing about this title. Every Time I Go on Vacation Someone Dies. No! It's the one vacation. I don't understand the title of this one. It was a choice by the publisher, I guess. But yeah, this one was just fine. 3 stars. Then I picked up Between Dragons and Their Wrath by Devin Madsen, and I really enjoyed this. I gave this 4 stars. This has the potential of being a brand new favorite trilogy of mine if we can only get the sequel from Orbit. There's no news on a sequel, and this one came out in 2024, so I'm like chomping at the bit. Orbit, please, where's the sequel? Like, oh. So it follows 3 separate people. It follows a laundress who has these interesting powers kind of coming to her. She's a laundress of like a apothecary guy who's doing like weird experiments and stuff. So she's discovering powers in herself from being this laundress and being submerged in all these chemicals. We're also following a woman who ends up being offered up as a false bride or an insult bride to some interesting political powers as political movements are happening in these towns. And it's her going through the beginning stages of that. And it's also following a like a dragon rider who is of a family that like in this world kind of kicks these members of their family that they don't necessarily want around anymore to the front lines with this dragon riding situation. It's following 3 incredibly compelling stories, and each one of them could have been their own book on their own. Like, that's how compelling each one of these stories are, but it was even more compelling seeing how they all worked together. And it reminds me a lot of the Dragon Rider book from Taran Matharu. I really, really enjoyed this book, and I'm so interested to see where it's gonna go from here. Dragons and political machinations and interesting powers and magic coming about, and like, just give me more of this. And it was written extremely well. I really like this, and I need to get into more of Devin Madsen's books because they're an incredible writer. I love this. Then I picked up another Nisha's Tuli with Not Safe for Work. This is her romance release that came out very recently, and I think this was a super solid romance. Like, one of the most delicious slow burn romances that I've read in a long time. I ended up giving this one 3.5 stars. Very solid romance book. As someone who does not read a lot of romance in her life, I think I read like 1 or 2 romances a year. This was solid. And I think if you read more romance, you might eat this up and absolutely love this because the banter in here is really delicious. I love the main characters' chemistry with each other. The connection between the characters is genuinely good and it's laid out really well. They build a good relationship. It's rivals to lovers, workplace romance, on a trip to Hawaii. What more could you want? This was great and very spicy. Not very spicy. It was spicy. It was deliciously spicy. There you go. But you gotta wait for it. It's a good slow burn. Finally, what I last picked up in June. This is not even touching all of the DNFs that I had this month. Don't worry about it. I'm not even gonna mention the DNFs. They're not worth your time. I picked up Love at First Glance by Griffin Murphy. This is a cozy book that has been on my TBR for a while. I have been following this author on TikTok for a while too, and this was utterly delightful. I gave this 4 stars, ate this up. It was so fun. It was so fun. If you love Pride and Prejudice 2005, if you love silly vibes, and if you love Ella Enchanted, the movie, pick this up. You're just gonna eat this up. So this is about a sister, our main character, Bridget, who ends up joining a knight's tournament for her sister's hand in marriage because she wants to thwart all the people who could be bad choices for her sister because the previous year, Bridget was in that same situation and she ruined the tournament because the person that she had her eye on was actually a raging dickhead. So she's going into this because it's her fault that things are like this anyways. And she wants to make sure that her sister is not set up with an asshole, you know? I really enjoyed this. I think all the characters were so fun and it genuinely was such a good time. I was giggling and kicking my feet. I was having a great time with this. It's not a perfect book, but fuck, it's a good. Pick up the audiobook. It's wonderful. Highly, highly recommend this. It's so genuinely fun. Overall, I think May and June were just okay. I did find some new faves with, you know, some of these bangers here. Whereas Two Lies of Fave and Scythe? Some new faves. I found some pretty good ones, some really fun ones. Generally, it was a good time. But yes, my friends, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I will catch you in another video very soon. Stay kind and keep on reading.